If you told me that a player that was 130 million power was going to get rallied for like hours on end, I'd have thought you were pretty crazy. But here we are. Our ally, Toxsik from the Alliance Pay to Win, was getting rallied. He started at like 130 million power, and last I checked, he's down to like 80 million power, and this went on for a really long time. So stick around in this video. We'll get a quick look at some of the reports. And I mean, man, these rallies were just crazy. Rallying a high power player, you've got to be insane. Let's get after it. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and in, I think, our very first season of Call of Dragons, we launched like a 4 or 5x rally on a 100+ million power player. We effed around and we found out that it just is a really bad idea. And the reason is very easy to understand. When you look within your city, you can see that the trade ratio is very favorable if you are a defender of your city. So if you're competent and you have lots of troops, you will get good trades when you are defending your city. Now, you do need to have the game knowledge of how to set up a city defense, and city defense is a fairly nuanced topic. In fact, toward the end of the video, I'll have a card for another video where I explain in depth how city defense actually works. And I actually have not had a conversation with Toxsik about the topic of city defense. So we'll get a look at a couple of the combos that he was using and those reports and just kind of see how they went. And we'll go from there, all right? So Toxsik is, at the start of all of this madness, over 130 million power. He finds himself off territory because the flag is destroyed. We've already won the season, but this group is pushing into the zone, and I mean, nothing but respect for folks that continue to fight, even when things are pretty much, you know, it's nail in the coffin, but that's fine. I think it is cool that they're still going after it, trying to get wins where they can. And it's funny because the person who's running this rally, Kyle, was like, bro, I'm just going to keep rallying till he's zeroed or we're out of stamina. And Kyle, Toxsik, on the other hand, the dude who's taking the rally, like, bro, he's a honey badger. He's got, at peak power, he's like 250 million power or something. So he was 130 million power from all the fighting he was doing. And I guess he doesn't care about losing a few troops. So when you are having your city attacked, like 10% of the troops that will be sev wounded actually die. And I think the attackers have something like 50% of the sev wounded actually die. You can see this stuff in your hospital if you want to go check. Different games that I play have different ratios, which is why my brain's a little fuzzy on that one. But you can see here that Toxsik is using an interesting city defense. He's got Theodore, which is 11 out of 10, like very good. At the time of this recording, it was the best that you could do for sure. And the secondary is an interesting one. He's using Emrys. Okay. Now I've seen people say that Emrys is actually really good in this context. And we can get a look at his kit and try to figure that out. I personally subscribe to the philosophy of using Bakshi. However, we do see that he is using the special artifact designed for city defense, and that artifact has an effect that triggers once every 30 seconds. That effect could include a health boost, and that does not stack with the Bakshi health boost. Not last I checked anyways. So there were a number of things that were a real head scratcher for me about what the rallying army was using. And they did try one attempt earlier with a Sindri and Freygar. We'll get a look at that report. But they're still using the Night Rock. And the Night Rock, which, like, you can see the bird like floating around on the screen over there. The Night Rock with Goresh and Skogul does not make sense. Even if you put like really great skills onto that thing, I would wonder why you don't have a pet for the Goresh and Skogul. Maybe it was out of stamina. I would just kind of assume, like, I don't know, like, why are you rallying a 130 million power player if your best pet doesn't have the stamina, right? So, like, look, I don't know all the context. Maybe there's great reasons for using this Night Rock. We'll look at the skills on this Night Rock because I can show you the reports, all right? So let's actually jump around now. I mean, honestly, I was torn on how to make this video. I have, like, a couple hours of like this footage. I don't know the exact amount, okay? And it took a long time to record the whole thing. Like I literally delayed recording a Rise of Kingdoms video because I was like, oh, I gotta like catch all this footage. Hold up. And it took so long that I was like, I have to just get started on this Rise of Kingdoms video. So like between rounds of rallies, I was like hitting record on my device. And then after I had finished recording and editing and uploading, like it was still happening. And there were several times where he burned. Also, I don't know what was going on here where he switched to Thea and Atheist. I genuinely am not sure what that's about. I don't know. Right. So this is one of the reports from like the many battles that happened here. You can see this Night Rock that I was talking about. We'll get to that in a second. But this report, 200,000 dead to 1 million dead. Yeah, that's pretty painful. Not gonna lie. They did get the burn. Okay. You can see the Night Rock here, and I'll pause it for a second. The Night Rock here has some really good skills that would work no matter what, but I'll remind you that a Night Rock, unless I'm out of date on what's going on with the Night Rock, the Night Rock does damage, but it can only trigger that damage on a normal attack where you get a crit. There is a chance for it then to do extra damage. So several of the skills here ultimately are not useful, but like I suppose the extra, what is that, normal attack critical damage is like somewhat relevant. The fierce attack is of course great, and the luck-based skill enhancing it is also fine. Counter strike is good, and tough counter strike reducing pet damage you take is good. If we look at Toxsik's garrison, he's got some healing abilities on that pet. I mean, I would not say the Berserk Fey Drake is a perfect choice either. So in this particular report, he's using that Theo Bakshi that we were talking about. It's not a perfect defense either with that pet and those skills, because like you need to be doing debuffs in order to stack the Berserk Fey Drake, and like I don't know, Theodore does a debuff, Bakshi doesn't do a debuff. You're not getting that many stacks. So I think the Berserk Fey Drake, you probably could find a better pet. And I was thinking like, what would be better? What could be better? And I think maybe a Golden Rock, especially if you're using Bakshi, would be pretty good in this instance. So, of course, the Goresh and Skogul are maxed. They've got the Rally banner on there, which I think is the right choice. I don't actually know if you use the new artifact for Goresh and Skogul, if it would do better. Here's another rally that was on the city. It was 100,000 dead to 500,000 dead. I mean, bro, this went on for a while. Let me get a couple more of these reports. All right, I found the part where they hit him with Sindri and Freygar. This was the first hit they did. He's got 9 million troops in his city when that happened. 67,000 dead to 581,000 dead. Yeah, and this was a successful defense. That is a Sindri and Freygar. This is where Night Rock is like absolutely the right choice. You'd want to snap that off. Do I look at the Legion buffs? I do. Okay, so there is where the Night Rock just makes all the sense in the world, right? And, you know, Theo Emrys does great here. And it turns out when you, like, have a lot of troops in your city, like, you're just very, very, very difficult to attack. There's that super fierce attack, hit, weakness, fierce attack. We talked about all this. It's an amazing pet. Like, that pet is awesome looking. I don't know the attributes, right? But at first glance, without looking too closely to try to guess how good his attributes are, that looks like a sick pet. But let's go find a couple more of these reports here. Ooh, actually, before we switch reports, we look at the troop distribution in his city. So he's got 3 million Celestials. Wow. Okay. 2.2 million Knights. All right. And, oh, wow. Only 500,000 Vestals left. 1 million ballistas and 1 million swordsmen. So, you know, this is kind of funny because the way that city defense works is that the normal and counterattack damage, those are going to use all your troops, but the skill damage you deal will always be based on the associated physical troops or with the associated magic troops. So if it's magic skill damage, it just looks at your quantity of magic troops. If it's physical skill damage, it looks at your quantity of physical damage dealing troops. And, you know, so when Theodore's using his active skill, it's going to look at, okay, those knights will all contribute, the ballistas all contribute, the infantry all contribute, but the Vestals and the Celestials do not contribute to the physical skill damage. Same is true with the Emrys. So they're counting toward the normal encounters, but they aren't counting towards the skill damage there, which That's fine. I think you could, I mean, in a future view of the world, I think you would probably be using a combination of Tohar and probably Theodore to defend your city. But we don't have access to those yet. They're about to be in game, but they're not here yet, all right? So really crazy, man. Now I'm actually going to find another one of these reports. Let's roll. Okay, here we go. Ooh. I will pause it here for a second. 700,000 dead for the attackers, 126,000 dead. I'm rounding a little bit. For the defenders. Man, that hurts, bro. That hurts. Okay, you can see actually a lot of Sev wounds going in his hospital. Like, the rally is doing well, but you just have to remember the ratio is always going to suck. It's always going to suck to be the person rallying a city. Like, your quantity of troops that are going to die is just higher than the defender. And like, do I think that that's healthy for the game? Actually, probably, yeah. Like, defense should be an advantage thing when we're talking about protecting your city. So, I mean, a fair question to ask in all of this is like, where are your allies, right? Like, why is nobody going to help this guy? So BDO, which is my alliance, has a 15-minute walk. So we would do the 15-minute walk. We would do a cycle like this where we might get some traction, clearing some ground. But these guys have their cities all ported up on the action, right? And a bunch of people that are normally in the pay-to-win alliance were unable to teleport over because they had to switch alliances for end-of-season rewards. So there was that weird balance of like what happens because people were switching alliances to get end-of-season rewards and then protecting the territory for like that 24-hour window where you can't then go teleport. Yeah, I mean, is what it is. We swing over. Even if we're trading well, I don't know. I wasn't there. They'd get cleared out and then they'd go back to rallying Toxsik and they'd have like, 15 minutes plus to go get it done because of the time it would take to sad face, have those marches get home and then have us walk back all the way through. GG. If we get a quick look at Toxsik City, he's at 86 million power now. All right. 31 million merits almost for the season. And let's get a look at his info. More info, all right? What do we got here? Okay. Units killed, 572 million. Units dead, 1.5 million. Hey, yo. Okay. The thing is that, like, 15 million power is a lot of power, but also, assuming those are all T5s, but, like, also... And the predecessor to this game, Rise of Kingdoms, like, yeah, like you lose that much power in the blink of an eye in a KVK. Oh, man. And if your city was getting rallied in that game, hey, you're going to lose a lot more troops than that. The way that hospitals work in this game is like very, very, very favorable for being the defender. For sure, dude. So shout out to Toxsik for that defense. Very well done. Is there anything I would do differently? I mean... I like the philosophy of dealing lots of damage. I really do. The only thing that I feel like you could consider is like if he had a max Garwood, could it have been better? I don't know. Like I genuinely, I couldn't tell you. But if you had Garwood, okay, then the thing that I like is that his heal counts all of the troops in your city for doing the heal. All of them. All of them. Magic, physical, it doesn't care. That's kind of cool. Okay. Damage reduction. Very good. Very good. What are we talking about? That's outstanding, right? Health for all troops stacks with all the other health buffs because this is not a named buff. So it will stack. That's very good. Increase the defense of all infantry units in this legion. Fine. He had some infantry. Increases your healing received. Fine. Every time you heal, you increase your physical damage dealt. Okay. So magic damage dealt wouldn't get boosted. But I wonder how this works in conjunction with normal and counterattack damage. I don't know. I don't know if this just boosts the physical units in that grouping or if this is only enhancing skill damage. I would assume, I don't know. I think it would enhance the normal encounter of your physical damage dealers and also your skill damage for physical. But you got me on that one. All right. And in some ways... you'd kind of rather Garwood be the primary, I suppose, right? Because then what you could do is you basically have Garwood heal. He increases your physical damage dealt by 30%, and then you hit him real hard with the Theodore. Could that be the way to go? I'm not sure. I feel like Toxsik had so many troops in his city. As long as he could keep bringing them back, like, he's immortal. Like, he could do this forever. It took so long for that rally to chew through his city. But I don't know, man. And it is possible that after a certain point, you could get low enough that you really don't want the Garwood primary anymore. And the thing that's just like really weird about buffs in this game that is still a bit of a head scratcher for me is that named buffs do not stack. So like right now on my wall, I've got the Theodore, right? And this artifact, the Breath of the Forest, has the Deepwood Symphony, and this grants you a vigor effect periodically, okay? 30% hit points. So Garwood is kind of an interesting one for defending your city because the Stripe Bear is also well designed, I feel, to work with Garwood really ticely. And like Garwood's good for city defense, and it turns out the Stripe Bear is also like really good for city defense. I've got one over here, right? So every time your Legion is healed by a hero skill, it gains vigor. See, this is the problem, is that this is a named buff. So it's not going to stack with other vigor effects, including the Breath of the Forest, which is just so weird that it won't work out that way. But when you get this, you're going to get health for all your troop types. Well, you have all troop types represented in your city. You better believe that's huge. That's a big deal. Get buffing health for all those troops. Okay, that's awesome for 5 seconds. That's very good. Except you have a better buff, potentially, from the Breath of the Forest. So, bit of an awkward one. So, I think your best bet maybe is just the Theo Bakshi, because Bakshi is also giving you 30% health for all troop types, and yet on his fourth skill can give you attack and defense for all troop types. But what I will point out is that if you're going to go that route, the pet to probably use is one of these golden rocks. The golden rock will basically, after you gain passion once, switch into its damage dealing mode. And that to me feels like it's maybe your best bet. It's dealing physical damage, which is fine. I feel like you also, in a weird plot twist, and I don't know because I've never done this before, but like in a weird plot twist, you could use Theodore doing physical. You could use Emrys doing physical. And I think because you still have mages in your city, you could use a Shadow Phage Rake, and this might unironically be the new best defender for your city, because what the Shadow Phage Rake will do is deal a bunch of magic damage, which is fine. You have magic troops in your city, so that drives the magic damage factor on this. And then inflicting the captive debuff makes them take more damage as well for a couple seconds. See, you see that? So I think moving forward, this is probably the best pet for defending your city. But again, that depends on how many magic units you have. And because he had so many Celestials, I mean like 3 million Celestials, okay? He could get away with that. Granted, he had 3 million Celestials, 500,000 Vestals. So 3.5 mil on that. He still had more physical troops. So because he's got more physical troops, like, the answer could just be the Golden Rock, right? Use a Golden Rock, enjoy the Feral Exuberance, which is like absolutely insane, one of the best pet enhancing skills in the game, and like boom. And like you slap Fierce Attack on there and you're good to go, baby. If you enjoyed the vid, throw a like on here, consider subscribing. Shout out to the folks that participated in the defense. I had stuff I had to get done, so I wasn't able to participate, but I was off to the side recording going, oh man, this is crazy. So again, shout out to the real ones that actually went to help, I'd say save his city, but like Toxsik stayed. Like, he didn't want to go anywhere. What are we talking about? Like, he wanted to get rallied, right? Like, some number of people, I can already hear the comments like, why didn't you go save your ally? Like, bro, he didn't need saving. What are we talking about? Like, dude, he was having a great time, I suspect. Just my guess, right? So anyways, If you want to see the detailed explanation of city defense, I'll have a card in the end screen. Alternatively, if you're now wondering a lot of information about pets, going like, whoa, I did not know all these things about pets. For example, like the Golden Rock, if you didn't know how that works, card in the end screen, I hope you check it out. And until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom. Take care, everybody.